delegation from Japan, comprising 41 people, including 3 war orphans, has made a special visit to China, expressing hopes for peace between the two countries. On China's traditional Tomb Sweeping Day, the Japanese delegation visited an exhibition on crimes committed by Japanese Unit 731 in Harbin, capital of northeast China's Heilongjiang province. Unit 731 was a Japanese biological and chemical warfare unit. Construction of the base began in 1935 during the Japanese occupation of northeast China. One of the war orphans said the delegation is working unceasingly to oppose war and promote peace. Following the end of the war, many Japanese fled, leaving their children behind, who were then cared for by Chinese families. These children, now in their 70s, were called war orphans. The delegation also visited representatives of their Chinese foster parents to express their gratitude, saying they would like to repay the love and care they received as orphans. More than 4,000 Japanese children were left in China after Japan's defeat in 1945. Most were abandoned in China's northeastern provinces of Heilongjiang, Jilin, and Liaoning, and the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. The trip was organized by the China Association for Friendship. Representatives from Japan-China Friendship Association were also among the Japanese visitors. The British heir, Prince Charles of Wales, have visited the Food and Agriculture Organization. He went to see firsthand how the organization is reacting to food crisis affecting the 4 African countries of Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen. Prince Charles on Wednesday inspected photos and maps detailing the situation in some of the 4 countries where a total of 30 million people are severely food insecure. It has been described as the world's largest food crisis since 1945. In February, the UN declared a famine in South Sudan, where at least 100,000 people face starvation, while 3 others remain on the brink. More than 6 million people face acute food insecurity in Somalia, most of them from rural areas. The FAO, together with other UN agencies and partners, have implemented a series of measures in Somalia, including providing cash, food and water aid, and providing agriculture and fisheries-based livelihood support. Prince Charles sent his kindest wishes and admiration to those who are working in such very challenging and difficult circumstances. He also said he was proud of Britain's response and contribution in supporting the efforts of the UN agencies. Some 40 years ago, the first owner offered Mar-a-Lago as a winter retreat for presidents and visiting dignitaries. Now, as the state holds the meeting between Chinese President Xi Jinping and the U.S. President Donald Trump, it is finally living up to its name as the Winter White House. Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, has been thrust into the spotlight since the beginning of this year. This club, like so many member-only clubs, is a synonym for the rich, the wealthy, and the established aristocracy. With Trump's ascendance to presidency, it has now been given a political flavor. To locals in Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago is a landmark.
Marjorie Merriweather Post and her then husband, Edward Hutton, decided they wanted a grand house to entertain their guests. They'd had other houses in Palm Beach, but they wanted something bigger and splashier. And they found this 17 acres that became known as Mar-a-Lago, which means sea to lake, and then built their magnificent home there.
In her time, Marjorie Post was one of the wealthiest women in the United States. She lived in Mar-a-Lago her entire life, so she saw that the design there was lavish, with materials for the mansion shipped over from Europe. It cost $7 million at the time, about $100 million in today's money. Interestingly, Post willed Mar-a-Lago to the U.S. government as a winter White House.
With Mar-a-Lago, she did offer it to the federal government, and they in fact did take title for a time, but the federal government decided and it was too much of a financial burden to take on, so they allowed it to go back to the family.
There was a time when the state was in danger of being broken up. a developer made an offer and planned to divide it into different smaller mansions. The plan was vetoed by the local government. Then came Donald Trump, who purchased the estate and made it into a private club.
Donald Trump saved the house, and one of the ways that he saved the house was by making it a private club. A house that big and a property that big and the taxes on something like that could have eaten up an individual, and so he made it work by making it a private club.
Oh, it is really a beautiful palace. It's a wonderful, That's why President Trump has really won the respect, is because he really, everyone knows that he has a big passion for Mar-a-Lago. So that's a common interest, So the community shares that passion for that local treasure.
To get into this privileged group today, applicants have to pay $200,000, double just before Trump's presidency, with no guarantee of acceptance. Aside from raising the fees, Trump has made several changes to the estate. But like most clubs in the area, most aspects of the building are still the way they were almost 100 years ago.
Fundraising is a major part of Palm Beach's cultural community, going back a century. So basically from about November to the end of April, we have nearly on a nightly basis here some gala going on somewhere.
Think about the Gilded Age. That is the lifestyle of Palm Beach. It is extravagant, carefree, traditional, and is reminiscent of the days in the literature of the early 20th century.
When you refer to the classical Palm Beachers, they're wearing slippers, they're wearing, blue jacket. There is really a typical Palm Beach culture. Navy blue jackets and all different types of navy blue jackets became absolutely synonymous with Palm Beach. And the Preservation Foundation of Palm Beach exists to preserve the quality of life there. They're saying we can afford to say no to having tall buildings. We don't need to have tall buildings. We want to have 2-story and 3-story buildings. We want lots of gardens. And so it's expensive, I think, to be able to say to do that.
For 100 years, Palm Beach remains as a resort destination. It is a convergent place of wealthy people all across the United States. The luxury hotels, boutique shopping center, yachts and golf courses speak a lot about the lifestyle there.
The way you keep it something exclusive is you limit the amount of it. So that's why Palm Beach has changed very, very little in nearly 100 years.
Celebrities are not rare in Palm Beach. As the wealthiest community in the United States, it has been home to a host of famous family names, including the Adams and the Pulitzers. Chinese President Xi Jinping is scheduled to meet his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump in Palm Beach for the first time this week. But while their much-anticipated meeting has put China-U.S. relations under the spotlight, it has also thrown the focus on where the meeting will take place. We went to take a look and found in Palm Beach a place already filled with elements of Chinese culture.
Sitting at the center of Palm Beach Island, surrounded by mansions, golf courses, and boutique hotels, is a red lacquered archway with blue eaves, which leads visitors to a small tranquil garden. The name suggests China's Summer Palace, a famous vast ensemble of lakes, gardens, and palaces in Beijing, which was built in 1750 as a resort for Chinese emperors back in the Qing dynasty. Apart from the archway, the garden is equipped with almost everything a Chinese garden is supposed to have: stone lines, the statuette of Kuan Yin, and various plants that remind people instantly of China. This is the Chinese garden at the Palm Beach Society of the Four Arts, the city's botanical gardens. Since being built in 1938, the botanical gardens have served as a guide for new homeowners seeking inspiration for landscaping their own houses. They give visitors a whole range of plants that can thrive locally. Given the fact that only less than 1% of the town's population is Asian, a garden like this stands out in its neighborhood. Only a 5-minute drive away, at the Norton Museum of Art in West Palm Beach, a permanent Chinese exhibition is also impressing its visitors. Laurie Barnes is the curator of the museum's Chinese art exhibition.
The initial collection, and it was about 125 objects, was given by Ralph Norton, the founder of this museum, and he gave it to the people of West Palm Beach. And because he wanted to represent something other than Western art, he chose to focus on Chinese art.
In a city that is traditionally American, the blue and white porcelains from Chinese kilns seem exotic and refreshing at the same time. Without much knowledge of the usage and history of these items, visitors stop by the display window to take a closer look.
We try to do programs that highlight our collection, and since we have such a great Chinese collection, although it's not large, we try to focus on major holidays, and because everyone likes a special event and a party, and we always have special talks which lead people hopefully to look more closely at the great things in our collection.
Well, based on the fact that we get over 2,000 people in one day for Chinese New Year, and we've gotten 600 or 700 people for our moon festivals, I would say it's people are interested. And they'll come out to learn about not only just the art, but those days are filled with other kinds of programs. There are presentations, there's music, there's food. So I think it's an overall cultural experience, and the people are curious. Art and music and math are universal languages. I hate to say. And I mean, it is a way for people who don't speak the same language or maybe believe the same thing to bond, or to get to know one another, or to get to understand each other better. It's hard not to walk into our Chinese collection and look at that giant head of a Buddha and just not be awed and enthralled.
Like the pot culture thriving in the South Florida climate, these exquisite Chinese art pieces are taking root in the exhibition hall, nourishing culture lovers with the aesthetics of an ancient nation far away. And with the love and passion for Chinese art, the likes of Barnes are treating their jobs as a life mission.
Well, I tell people this is, you know, the 20th century was the American century. The 19th century was the British century, but the 21st century is going to be the Chinese century. So I think everyone in the world should be interested in Chinese culture.
The Games Finance Market opened as part of the London Games Festival on Wednesday. The festival aims to shine a spotlight on the creativity, innovation, and future of the UK's games industry, while also attract new business opportunities. The Games Finance Market brings together 39 London Games companies and 63 investors. It hopes this meeting will generate new business leads and help get exciting new projects off the ground. This year's event saw investors bring a potential over $600 million to the table. The curators also hope that the 11-day event celebration helps turn London into the game capital of the world.
The festival is a fantastic opportunity for the games companies here in London. We want to really help support them and help them attract more partners and more attention generally. There's 500 games companies in London. It's the biggest hub and cluster we have here in the UK. And yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for them, and it's also a great opportunity for companies coming in, or people that are non-gamers that might want to know more about games, or have some perceptions that we can change about games. So yeah, it's really has paid off immensely.
The London Games Market is definitely open for business. Nearly 600 games companies are located in London, and a further 370 located in the southeast, and the talent, services, and products on offer are world-class. The London video games scene spans from traditional video games development to mobile game development, along with an ever-growing virtual reality industry.
The UK is absolutely in rude health. We've got an absolutely booming games industry. You know, we've got a massive heritage here of some real amazing kind of staple games that some people probably may not be know that have been developed here in the UK, such as like the GTA series, and not many people know it's developed right here. We've got some brilliant studios that produce titles like ports for titles like Minecraft, as well as produced that here in the UK. So we've got massive gaming economy. We're looking at we're a £4 billion industry here in terms of customer spend. We contribute over £500 million to the tax bill. We have about 30,000 employees in total here in the games industry. About 10,000 of those are based in development.
It's not just British faces at the London Games Festival. This year has 9 investment companies from China.
Yes, now in China, most of the companies attend the London Games Festival as investors. We're here for opportunities. I think it is our pleasure.
The London Games Festival ends on Sunday. Tokyo Disneyland has started their Easter celebrations with the debut of the bunny-eared, mischief-making egg characters, Yusatama. Let's take a look. The Easter celebration of Tokyo Disneyland will last till mid-June. Both Disneyland and Disney Sea will run exclusive merchandise, parades, decorations, and events during this festival season. Launching the festivities were the bunny-eared egg characters, Yusatama. Their name is coined from the Japanese words Yusajim and Tamago, meaning rabbit and egg. The story goes that the Disney friends were busy making Easter eggs in preparation for the festival when a breakdown at the Easter egg factory led to the Yusatama characters escaping into the park and creating pandemonium. The brand new parade, Yusatama on the Run, features the Disney friends and Yusatama having some wacky springtime fun. In the parade, Mickey Mouse and his friends dress as Yusatama chasers, looking for the Yusatama hiding all around the park. Visitors can also have fun with family and friends looking for the Yusatama in this hunt program. The 56th edition of Milan's Furniture Fair opened this week. As part of the Milan Design Week, let's take a look. The Furniture Fair is one of the highlights of the Milan Design Week, which will see over 2,000 exhibitors and hundreds of related events all over the city. Some 400,000 visitors are expected to visit Milan.
In
recent years, Made in Italy is offering great value to our design. Companies saw an increase of turnover both in the domestic market and export.
France and the U.S. topped the event's list of commercial partners. China is gaining a more important position in recent years.
Tonight, we are here at Milan University introducing a showcase called The Matrix by Tsinghua University. This is a partnership between our magazine and Chinese e-commerce leading brand JD.com. We are so proud of this kind of cooperation.
The furniture industry in Italy involves more than 30,000 small companies, which employ 130,000 workers, mainly artisan manufacturers. Despite years of recession in the country, the sector still proved strong and recorded 2.3% growth last year. The South Korean national women's team has become the first South Korean players to play in the DPRK capital of Pyongyang in 26 years. They defeated India 100 in Group B of Asia Football Confederation, or AFC Asian Cup Jordan 2018 qualifying tournament. While history may have been made, the match wasn't the one for the memory for their Indian opponents. The South Korean team utterly dominated the match against their Indian counterparts, scoring 5 goals in each half at drizzly Kim Il-sung Stadium. On the same day, DPRK female footballers play through rainfall, wind, and chilly temperatures to defeat the Hong Kong team 50.
My teammates always pass the ball to me. My score was mainly attributed to the teamwork.
Well, 13,500 watched the DPRK Hong Kong match. The organizers say only 2,300 attended the game between South Korea and India. However, interest is likely to peak on Friday at a match between the DPRK and South Korea. Besides providing political intrigue, the game is widely expected to also decide who tops the qualifying group.
And today I think in Hong Kong we are working as a team. Our tactics is moving, go up and down with a whole team. So I think make the DPR difficult to attack through the middle.
Strict security measures are in place at the stadium as the matches are being held amid high tension in the Korean peninsula. Earlier on Wednesday, the DPRK fired its latest ballistic missile, while the U.S. and South Korea have been staging joint military exercises. However, under the iconic neoclassical triumphant gate, the atmosphere is relaxed.
The second match of the South Korea is, so to speak, the most important match of the qualifying game. I believe that both the North and the South will get everything ready and do their best to play a great game.
Here, shops selling Korean medicines, cosmetics, handicrafts, sportswear, and snacks are temporarily set up in the plaza outside the stadium. As former world champions, the DPRK female team have high hopes of qualifying for the finals in Jordan next year. If so, they would join the 4 automatic qualifiers of Jordan, Japan, Australia, and China. Turning to Spain, Chulina, the first female giant panda cub, born at Madrid Zoo Aquarium last year, had 2 special visitors on Wednesday. The panda went for her first walk outside Pagoda, where she has stayed until now. During Chulina's first trip outside, she was invited by Queen Sophie of Spain and Lu Fan, Chinese ambassador to Spain. The event also involved a performance of traditional Chinese music and a group of local school children dressed as pandas who exhibited their paintings of the cub. Chulina was born on August 30th, 2016, and made her first public appearance on January 12th this year. She's the 5th giant panda cub to be born at the Madrid Zoo as a result of its work with the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding.
This started in the 1980s with the first pair of pandas, which were brought from China. It was the first panda born outside of China, and it was called Chulin. Over the years, thanks to the experience of the team, and thanks to the magnificent installations we have in the zoo, now we have had great success breeding this emblematic species.
She was given her name, which means treasure of the bamboo, who in 1982 became the first giant panda to be born in Madrid. Chulin's parents, Xiao Xiao and Chang Chang, had been given as gifts to Queen Sophie and her husband, King Juan Carlos I, on their visit to China in 1978. Queen Sophia was delighted by the giant pandas and became one of the key drivers of the giant panda breeding program in Madrid. No surprise, then, that she was Chulina's chaperone for the cub's first outing from the pagoda.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to the Lake Cook Law Group.
投资理财、法律咨询，芝加哥专业律师团队为您的梦想提供最安全的保障。
Hello, welcome to China Mosaic. I'm Pan Deng in Beijing. According to the government work report delivered by Chinese Premier Li Keqiang on March the 5th, Chinese government expects an economic growth rate ranging between 6.5 to 7% this year. The Chinese economy in 2016 will inevitably confront multitudes of difficulties and challenges, such as overcapacity and weakening demand resulting from global downward economic pressure. The slowing pace of economic growth in China will definitely draw considerable concern from the international community, partly due to the economy's colossal size and partly due to its high relevancy to the global economy. There have been many large economies closely related to the world economy, such as Japan, the former second largest economy, of which economic growth has hovered between 1 to 2% for over 2 decades. In the long run, its slowing economic growth has brought a negative impact to the world economy, and we should better familiarize ourselves with the consequences. However, China, on the contrary, still promises an economic growth rate of no less than 6.5%, as the increase of the GDP is expected to hit $600 billion, equaling the amount of a medium-sized country's annual economy. China's economic growth is still playing a leading role in the view of the world's major economies. In 2016, China will continue to be the driving force behind global economic growth. According to the IMF, this year the GDP in the US is expected to grow by 2.6%. In Japan, it will grow by 1%. In the Eurozone, it will grow by 1.7%. In South Africa, by 0.7%, and in India by 7.5%. Meanwhile, Brazil and Russia will face negative growth by 3.5% and 1% respectively. Considering the size of India's economy, which represents only 1/5 of China's economy, China is undoubtedly the anchor and major source of the stable performance of the world economy, and its contribution is estimated to be 30% that of the global economy this year. In addition, China will launch more high-level opening up programs and encourage more outbound investment and cooperation to enhance its close ties with the world economy and accentuate its prominent role by driving up global economic growth. That's it for this edition of China Mosaic. I'm Pan Deng in Beijing. Bye-bye.